What's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. We're doing Showdown, Patriots versus Rams, Super Bowl rematch from a few years ago. My name is Tyson Smith. I'm joined by Ellie Hernandez. Ellie, what's going on, man? How was your previous Tuesday night football with the Baltimore Ravens? How did that go?
Man, I was pretty damn close in a lot of lineups. We got a lot of stuff right about last night's slate, and I was pretty happy about it. I didn't have the correct lineup, unfortunately. Amari Cooper got me at the end there, but
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was a fun night, and it was an exciting game to watch. And then I made a pretty decent amount of money on that fucking dumbass Draftkings bet where
Yeah.
you had plus 100 odds for Lamar Jackson to complete a pass. So of course I deposited so I can max out that bet.
What was the max?
Yeah,
what was the max
money.
on that bet?
$25.
Damn.
So you won $25, but I mean, fuck it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's free money.
Yeah, I mean, look, Gallup, I don't know why I keep, sort of touting Gallup, but I just feel like he's so low. He's always underpriced. Every single slate, somehow he's underpriced. He came up big. We had the J.K. Dobbins. When we talked about getting Dobbins and Gus Edwards in the same lineup, along with Lamar. And that was the way to go for sure. Now, the Lamar captain lineup is what, obviously won, but I think it duped quite a bit. But, we got close.
Though, if Gus Edwards gets that rushing touchdown at the end of the game, like, we can live with J.K. Dobbins not necessarily hitting value. Gus Edwards getting that touchdown at the end would have changed the slate for me, just straight up. Because there were lineups where I didn't have J.K. Dobbins in there. I had Gus Edwards and, it's just some other Marquise Brown and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
But to your point, I did end up switching kind of my strategy last night. I did have a decent amount of Gus Edwards at captain. But I mostly had Lamar Jackson and what the fuck is his name? J.K. Dobbins, right? I played both of them at captain, and look, it's hard. It especially the strategy that we use. It's really hard, kind of playing that high chalk captain. But look, I mean, in a situation like that, if you're gonna dupe for first place for $2,500, you got to think about it. And
yeah.
It worked out. It was close. I ended up doing all right, but we nailed it. We nailed a lot of that. I think Marquise Brown was the only thing that I personally got wrong.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, if we could go back and do our show, and I knew Des Bryant was going to get fucking COVID, then Marquise Brown probably wouldn't have been my fade.
Yeah.
But we got the important parts right. We got Gus Edwards and fucking Miles Boykin in the same lineup, and I had a shitload of that.
Yeah.
Right. And both those players were under 15 and 10% respectively.
Yeah.
So, and that's bullshit. Just to be quite frank, Miles Boykin is forced to be the number 2 receiver in that situation.
Yeah.
And I understand if Dez is in there, you may not give him as many snaps, but Jesus, dude. I mean,
but we were high.
He's gonna.
We were high on him.
Do?
We were super high on Boykin, even with Dez in. So just because I just liked his price and I liked his upside. I thought he was that Willie Snead replacement, which he turned out to be, because look, Des Bryant to me hasn't proved anything. I think that Boykin sort of has, that he can actually be that guy. Obviously, I don't think he's a number 2, but he's a solid number 3 for sure. All right, guys, we're going to move on to this particular slate. We're doing Thursday night football. We've got the Patriots coming to LA. Interesting matchup. This is really nothing like the Super Bowl matchup a few years ago. Obviously, there's a lot of different pieces involved in this. You got Cam Newton, Patriots quarterback, and the Patriots haven't been doing terrible lately. I still think they're just not a very good team, and the only reason why they're at least 500 at this point is simply because the Patriot way. Bill Belichick, they're going to find a way to at least be respectable. They're not going to turn into the Cowboys. They're not like a lot of these teams would have turned into a dumpster fire, but they are just keeping it going. They're going to get a nice little draft pick. People aren't going to think bad about him. and they're going to move on to next year, and they're going to probably have a better year next year. But for this year, I just don't see the upside, and they're going up against the Rams. They've been, trending up quite a bit lately. Earlier in the year, I wasn't very high on the Rams, but their defense has been absolutely crushing lately. So let's look at these, let's look at the over-under. Let's look at the odds here. You've got New England coming into LA. New England 6-6. The LA Rams are 8-4. And, minus 240 in favor of the Rams, 70% win probability. 44.5 total. The spread is -5. And if you look at that ownership there, that's one of the biggest gaps in ownership I've seen in a long time. 100 points. That's quite a bit. So obviously the Rams are going to be heavy favorites when it comes to actual football, but then when it comes to ownership, it's going to sway way towards LA. So what jumps out to you here when you see that ownership? How can you not just go heavy on New England with a handful of the best players from the Rams? Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I want to point out is I don't think I've ever seen a 5-point spread. I usually see it closer to 4.5 or 3.5. So that's neither here nor there. It's very much a non sequitur, but I haven't seen a 5-point spread before.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. LA is good, but the problem is what cost them the Super Bowl is Bill Belichick is a great defensive mind. He's gonna force LA to do what they don't do very well, and that's depend on Jared Goff to be elite. And I think you're going to have some opportunity to be successful by running some of the New England Patriots here. I mean, based on just the win probability alone, I can tell you that 4-2 and 5-1 stacks are probably going to be fairly chalky. I would say 4-2 probably more specifically because you're probably going to get Cam and a pass catcher, Cam and a running back.
Yeah.
But I think you might actually be able to get a little different on this slate by running 3 threes and kind of balancing out between the Rams and the Patriots. And if I'm being honest, the Rams aren't a team that I want to stack multiple receivers for, right? I don't necessarily want Kupp and Woods in the same lineup. So I think that's going to be an interesting way to build. And, I think this game is going to be pretty fun, to be honest with you. I mean, we're getting close to the we got 6 games left, right? And teams are starting to figure out their playoff seeding. If LA loses this, they very quickly have the potential of giving up their potential seeding to the Cardinals. As much as I don't want to talk about this, but the Cardinals have a fairly easy schedule from here on out. I'm sorry, it's 4 games left.
Yeah, 4 games. Yeah.
But yeah. So if Cardinals win out, if the LA loses this game, the Cardinals still have to play LA one more time. So I mean, there's a lot of things at play here, and I think it's going to open up for a more competitive game. I mean, this is the time in the season where you start getting into that any given Sunday shit, right? Where you have teams that shouldn't be winning, they're going to go out and beat good teams. And I honestly think that Cam Newton and Bill Belichick and this Patriots team have a chance to be competitive in this game.
Yeah.
There's too much pride there. And again, Bill Belichick is just like Nick Saban, right?
You son of a bitch.
And actually, Nick Saban was a Bill Belichick understudy. So let's just go ahead and call that out now. And what the fuck? That was badass. But Bill Belichick is a secondary coach. That's what he specializes in. And he's got Malcolm Butler over there. And what do the Rams have? They have Cooper Kupp and they have Robert Woods. And I honestly think I know I'm a bit of a fucking weirdo. I like watching wide receivers against awesome secondaries. It's a weird thing to watch. I mean, you have players who can go out there and run routes that'll break off Malcolm Butler and some of the best Stephon Gilmore. You've got some of the best cornerbacks in the world who can't cover because you have a clean route that's being run by a wide receiver. So you have 2 of the best route runners.
I think Malcolm Butler. Wait, Malcolm Butler's not on.
Titans.
Yeah, he's on the Titans. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
Same thing. Yeah, I know what you're saying. You're speaking generally. Okay, I was like, wait, didn't that guy die? Isn't he gone? Yeah, okay, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, and here's the thing. I mean, but he's a great example, right? I mean, he had one good year. He had a contract year, and that one interception got him paid on the
Yeah.
Titans. And I mean, he was very much a victim of circumstance. I don't know if victim's the right word, but he benefited from being coached by one of the greatest fucking secondary coaches to ever play or ever live. So it's going to be an interesting game. I don't want to use all our time talking about the wide receivers and corners, in the fucking pregame here, but let's. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun, man. I like watching well-coached teams play.
Yeah,
well-coached teams make a huge difference.
I think the Patriots have a shot here. I know it sounds crazy. I know the consensus is that the Rams are an elite team. They're a top 5 team in the NFL, and they could be. But to me, I just feel like this is an opportunity for the Rams to stumble a little bit and kind of fall back to earth. I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're as good as everyone thinks they are.
So Jared Goff has never won a game. Like, I mean, think about it. Can you tell me about a moment that Jared Goff has gone out and willed his team to win? Like, even fucking Kyler Murray has that, right? Like, Josh Allen has that. Patrick Mahomes obviously has that. I mean, we got all these quarterbacks. Ryan Fitzpatrick, fucking Tua Tagovailoa, right? He has it. I mean, Jared Goff doesn't have that. He hasn't gone out and won a game, and I don't know if that's because of Mike McVay. I'm sorry, Sean McVay. That probably wasn't a good reference. Sorry to everyone, especially if you live in Oklahoma. But look, man, I mean, he hasn't done anything, and I think that's what Bill Belichick's going to ask him to do. Is he's going to force his defense to make Jared Goff try to win the game for them. And if it comes down to that, I don't fucking think that the Rams have a chance.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. The bottom line is this game is going to be a little bit closer than I think people assume it'll be. So, hey guys, throw us a like if you don't mind. If you're watching this video, we'd like to get a couple extra likes. We really appreciate it. It helps us out with the algorithm. More people will watch the show. We'd really appreciate it. And stay tuned. We're obviously building a lineup at the end of the show. We're going through our favorite fade or our favorite fades. I don't know if that's even right, but we're going through our fades. We're going through our favorite captains. And also, there's a guy on this slate that's a fucking lock. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. However many lineups I'm going to play tomorrow, I'm just locking him in and letting the optimizer figure out the rest, pretty much. So stay tuned to that in the wide receiver section. All right, so when it comes to injuries, there's not really anything to talk about here. As of now, I think I'm only seeing Ryan Izzo as the only injured player. There was no alerts when it came to the Rams, so obviously keep an eye on that. As we know, Des Bryant, 30 minutes before kickoff, got he was ineligible because of COVID. He tested positive, so anything can happen. The key is just keep an eye on things. If you're playing a ton of lineups, make sure you're on Twitter. Make sure you're following the right people. Ryan Izzo being injured, I don't think it really affects anything. The tight end position for the Patriots doesn't really matter to me. I'm most likely going to avoid a lot of them, but look, Ryan Izzo is worth taking a stab if he does play. So just keep an eye on that. All right. What do you think? You want to get into this breakdown, bro?
It's fucking break it down.
All right. So we're going quarterbacks here. Let's check this out. So Jared Goff is 11,000, and you've got Cam Newton at 10.6K. Now look, I remember a time when Cam Newton was fucking 13.5K a few weeks ago, and now I know hasn't been playing well. I know there was the whole COVID thing, but I think he's extremely underpriced here for his upside. He can get 2 rushing touchdowns and about 60 yards rushing. Yeah, he'll throw for fucking 14 yards and maybe 1 random touchdown and an interception. But he's like the starting running back. He's going to touch the ball every single time. And goal lines, he's gonna almost. I mean, I don't know what the odds for him to score a touchdown are on the DK on the sports book, but it's got to be, the odds have to be low, or I guess, am I putting that right? Basically, the odds of him scoring are high. In this game, in my opinion.
I actually looked that up. I think he's minus 120 as an anytime scorer
For a quarterback. They're usually like fucking plus 800 or some shit.
Right. Well, and remember, because he's a quarterback, it's a rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
So that's fucked up.
Yeah. So let's actually look at his rushing output here. So I mean, dude, look at this. Okay, so find the rushing column there. Look down under touchdowns. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11 touchdowns this year. Rushing the football. That's elite.
I don't give a shit about his passing stats. He'll be in all my lineups just because of his rushing upside.
He has 5 passing touchdowns this year.
Yeah, bro. I don't care if he has 3 yards rushing. He's probably going to have at least 2 touchdowns. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just...
And look...
I love Cam Newton. I don't understand. I agree with you. I think he should be 12-8 probably.
So let me pull up ownership here. So... Okay, so what do you think about Goff then at that price? I mean, look, actually, I don't think that he's overpriced at all. In fact, I think that's a pretty good price for him. I don't think you can go... I mean, maybe 10-6, 10-7 is maybe a little bit more accurate for him. And if that was the case, I think he would be super high owned. But I think 11,000 is a reasonable price for him. What do you think about Goff? I mean, look, to me, Goff is boom or bust. I think there's a situation where he can have a bad game and not be in the optimal. But to me, I think you have to have both of these guys, in my opinion. Unless you want to get crazy with it and like double stack the wide receivers for the Rams or play some running backs for the Rams. But I think you have to have both of these guys in every one of your lineups. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Goff, I probably will cap closer to 50 or 60%. And Cam, I'll probably have closer to 80%, and that's just because of the rushing upside. Jared Goff, I love. I think he has an opportunity to go off. The problem with him is I mean, he's inconsistent, right? So that's honestly kind of what you're looking for in DFS, right? You're looking for those guys who have a wide range of outcomes. So yeah, there's a good chance he's going to go out tomorrow and throw for 220 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. But there's also a good chance he can go out and throw for 375, 3 touchdowns, and rush for 40 yards. So, I mean, that's what you're looking for, and I think that's what's going to take some of the ownership away that we would normally see there. But I think you're right on. I'm about 90% sure the optimal will have both quarterbacks tonight. I just won't be playing either at captain. Yeah, I mean, maybe Cam Newton, but again, this isn't a Lamar Jackson situation. So he does have the upside to go out there and get the 2 touchdowns, but it's not something where you're going to see him bust off at the 45-yard line for, a 45-yard touchdown rush. That's not something you're going to see from Cam Newton when he's, 39 years old. Yeah. Which obviously he's like 29. But look, Jared Goff is a good quarterback, and I think he's got the opportunity to go off here. Again, the only thing that's got me skeptical here is just Bill Belichick and his defense. I think the secondary is going to come ready to play against two very good wide receivers, and the defensive line's getting a little bit better. Their defense is showing up just all the way around. So I think they're going to give him fits. Jared Goff has the ability to struggle once he gets in a slump. So I don't want to be overexposed to him, but I think I'll be even with the field or slightly under. Honestly, just close to 50%.
Yeah. And I think that's where he's going to be at ownership-wise in the flex. I think they're both going to be around 50%. And then they're both above 20% in the captain. So, you're looking between 70 to 80% overall. So, like, to me, fading both of these guys in the captain, just, you can do whatever you want. Literally, play whoever you want, right? Look, the one thing with Goff for me, he only has 5 games this year over 17 fantasy points. and the rest are just average sort of outputs. But you know, his floor was 6 points against San Francisco, and then you know he sticks over between 10 to 17 for a lot of his games. Now, obviously, we're talking about only 12 game sample size, so anything can happen. This is not NBA. It's harder to project these players, but in my opinion, he has such a high ceiling. We're talking, you know, in the 30s, and if you have a player that scores above 25 on any given slate, they're going to be in the optimal, in my opinion. So just keep an eye on that, and I think you can get both of these quarterbacks. They both have the probability of them being in the winning lineup is so high, like it's very high. So I would consider just plugging both of these guys into most of your lineups, a majority, and then decide on one or the other or none. So, all right, so let's move on to running backs here. Let's see. So let's go with the Rams running back situation here. This is a little bit easier to figure out. We've got Cam Akers, who's had really one good game, and now he's priced up to 8K. Darrell Henderson had one lucky run last week, 7,400, and Malcolm Brown's still sticking around that $2,400 range. So look, to me, I mean, Cam Akers, look, me personally, I'm going to avoid this whole situation. Cam Akers really hasn't gotten consistently over 10 rushes a game this whole season. I know he's a rookie. I know he's coming up. He's up and coming. He's a rookie, right? Yeah, he's a rookie, right?
Yeah.
So I know they're just like J.K. Dobbins. They're sort of handing the torch to him and saying, here, take over this offense. But 21 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown, to me, is more of an anomaly. I don't think he can consistently do that, especially the way this offense is run. They're going to throw the ball a shitload of times. There's not enough volume, and they're splitting carries more often than not. You don't see Cam Akers in on back-to-back series in a lot of cases this year. So to me, Cam Akers he went from 2,000 to 7,000 to 8K. That's way too high. 8K is this guy. I might just uncheck him. Darrell Henderson, 7,400. I might uncheck him. The only guy I might consider is one or two lineups with Malcolm Brown. Now look, this could backfire, obviously. I don't think you need to play these guys. You have a lot of other options at wide receiver, and you have the fucking 14 running backs on the Patriots that I like better than any of these guys. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm with you. Cam Akers is being priced up because he has 3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks, right? He has 1 receiving, 2 rushing. But let's not forget about some of the defenses he's played against, right? Last week against Arizona, I mean, Arizona is just not a good defense. They're not good at stopping the run. And so that's something to keep in mind. And Darrell Henderson, same thing. I think there's just too much spread around in this backfield that it's too much of a guessing game for me. If Cam Akers was priced closer to what Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram were yesterday, then I'd be all over him. But at 8K, I'll have a moderate exposure, maybe 15 to 20% at max. But I'd rather just see if I can find some other value and get to Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Now, I do want to point out Malcolm Brown at 2,400 is interesting. I would expect that he's on a slight downtrend given the fact that Cam Akers has been on an uptrend, right? And he's starting to get a pretty decent amount of usage. But that's when we see the fucking random running back from LA score touchdowns. That's when Malcolm Brown has this 2-touchdown game when nobody's expecting him to get any touches. And what did we see the other night, right? When we were talking about the 49ers, when you're trying to guess these backfields, you need to have exposure to all of them.
Yeah.
And the one guy we didn't have exposure to was Jeff Wilson. And who was getting all the snaps? Fucking Jeff Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think Malcolm Brown is 100% in play at $2,400. I think his ownership is going to come in less than 10% simply because Cam Akers is on the uptrend. So I think he gives you immediate leverage, and you don't even have to try to do anything, right? You can run 3 or 4 lineups with him at a 20 max, 150 max. 150, I'd probably go a little bit higher, but I think you can get different simply by playing him and really not having to get too crazy anywhere else. The rest of the guys, I'll kind of let the optimizer just get me where I need to go. I won't have multiple of any of these running backs in any lineup.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But I don't think I'll have more than 40% total exposure to this entire group. So they won't be in more than half my lineups. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I mean, look, to me, they just go with the hot hand, at least in the last 3 weeks. So, okay, last week Cam Akers had 65% of the snaps, Henderson 19, Malcolm Brown 15. Okay, well, fuck, Malcolm Brown's not getting the ball. Okay, the week before, Malcolm Brown led the team in snaps at running back, 42%, Henderson was 33%, and Cam Akers was 27%. The week before that, Darrell Henderson led them in snaps at 45%, Brown 39%, and Cam Akers at 15%. So look, I know I just threw a fuckload of numbers at you there, but the bottom line is here, we just don't know who's going to actually play. And to me, it's trending more towards not Cam Akers in this game. They go with the hot hand. It's almost like a roll of the dice. So to me, you just got to spread yourself out. Just like what we talked about with San Francisco, like you said, spread yourself out a little bit. But I don't want to get too much of any of these guys because they all could fail. Every single one of these guys could just have a bad game because, Cooper Kupp could have 47 receptions and Bobby Trees could have fucking 52 receptions. Like, they might not even see the ball. So to me, just be cautious here. Don't buy into the hype of Cam Akers yet. Let him get a couple more games under his belt before you say, yeah, this guy's the shit and he's worth 8,000. To me, he's not.
Bro, we're 4 weeks removed from Cam Akers or from Sean McVay saying that we're not going to have as much usage on Cam Akers, right? I mean, I understand that's all smoke and mirrors. It's fucking NFL, right? They're trying to get an edge on their coaches, but look, I think they're going to have to utilize every single one of their backs, right? I don't give a shit how good your offense is unless you're fucking Pat Mahomes and the Andy Reid Kansas City Chiefs offense. I don't want you throwing the ball and trying to score quickly against a Patriots team who is notoriously good at playing defense and has 74 running backs that can and a starting running back at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to be scoring quickly against a team that has the ability to score and control the ball. So I think they're going to need to use all their offensive weapons at the running back position, and I think paying up is just going to kill you.
So speaking of 74 running backs, let's move over to the other side of the ball for the Patriots. So look, we've got Damian Harris at 8,800. Now, I actually like this. I think he's a little priced up. Now, this is the kind of guy that was in maybe the 5,000 range or under. Let's look at this. Yeah, so 6,200, 80. So actually, he was being priced up earlier in the year for some of these shitty, like the Jets game, that shitty ass game where everyone was like fucking super priced up. He was at 10K, so he's been consistently above 8K. So this is right around the price that he actually has been. I just think that he's priced a little too high in my opinion, just simply because we don't know what we're gonna get from this team. You've got James White and Sony Michel. Now so James White is 6,400. I always love James White. You can never go wrong with him, except for when you actually want to play him, and then he doesn't even touch the ball, and then the next week you are jaded and you don't play him and he scores 2 touchdowns. That's just sort of how this whole thing works with the Patriots. Sony Michel at 4,800. I don't even know what he's been up to. I don't even he had 35 yards on 10 rushes. That's actually quite a bit of rushes for him in his first game back. So I think with Rex Burkhead out, this, I'm not happy about injury on anybody, but thank God that guy's not playing because I wouldn't know what the fuck to do here. Basically, the guy you expect the least to get the carries is probably going to get the carries on both sides of the ball, to me. Although I think Damian Harris is a safe bet, and I think he does have the upside with the carries. You know, he's had a couple 100-yard games. He's had multiple. I think let's see what his carries have been like. He's been in the, he's been over 10 carries in almost every single game, up to 22 on some of these games. So he's the guy who's going to get the bulk of the carries. They like him. He's a young guy. Why not just feed him the ball? They got nothing to lose. So how are you handling these three running backs? Who's your favorite choice here? Can you play two in the same lineup?
So I'm probably gonna have a decent amount of exposure to Damian Harris. I honestly didn't look too closely at the running back situation when I was preparing for the slate and didn't realize Rex Burkhead wasn't even playing. That helps tighten up a lot of the actual rushing attempts.
Yeah.
James White is going to get involved in the passing game. He's going to get maybe a handful of attempts, and Sonny Michel has the ability to get a couple, and he does have the ability to break a run here and there, but he doesn't have the top end speed that Damian Harris does when he's out in the open field. Sonny Michel does have the ability to get run down. He's more of a power back burst, 20 to 30. Top end like 50, right? You're not going to see him bust for a 60, 70-yard touchdown run. Damian Harris absolutely has that ability. I don't know, man. Like I like Damian Harris. I think you can run him and Cam Newton and throw in a pass catcher and be pretty much okay for the offensive side of the ball. Now I won't be running multiple of these running backs. So I'll either have Damian Harris or I'll have James White. James White at 6,400 is projected damn near the same as Damian Harris. And I get it because he has the pass catching upside, right? So each one of those receptions is worth a full point on Draftkings, yada, yada. We got to keep that in mind. My only concern with James White, and I understand this is 100% recency bias, is he had 2 touchdowns within was it last week or the week before? I think it was the week before he had two receiving touchdowns. That's
two rushing touchdowns. 2 rushing touchdowns against Arizona, of course.
Oh, well, God fucking damn it. That's why I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, 2 rushing touchdowns against Arizona. I think there's going to be a decent amount of recency bias based on that specifically. And I think people are going to start playing him. He is not a touchdown guy, right? Like I don't see him as that guy, especially rushing touchdowns. If he's getting rushing touchdowns, something's all the way fucked up. So I'm going to have a decent amount of him, but I'm going to lean more towards Damian Harris and kind of let James White fall where I need him in specific builds. But Sonny Michel, I may have 15% max.
This feels like a Sony Michel 3 touchdown game to me, just because we're not talking about him. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, but I just feel it. I just feel it. Fucking Sony Michel gonna score some. He's gonna score a touchdown in this game. I feel like they're easing him back into it. It's just impossible to figure this shit out. I think I agree with you. I'm gonna only have one of these guys in each of my lineups at max. And one guy to keep an eye on is Jacob Johnson. Is actually the only reason I bring him up is because I don't know. Is he a fullback? Do you know?
I've never heard of him before.
Well, and I haven't really heard of him either. But I'm seeing that last week he got 43% of the snaps, and that was second to Damian Harris. I'm assuming he's a fullback. But the thing is with him is he's $200. All right, so we got to talk about some of these guys. These are the guys that win you a fuckload of money if you find them. So he's got 2 targets, 2 receptions, and 20 yards in a game. He's gotten a target every single game he's played in. So week 2, week 3, week 7, week 9, week 10, week 13. So look, if he gets a target and catches a, that 20-yard and two reception game, yeah, that's not going to get you into the optimal. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying you should play this guy. I'm just saying keep an eye on him, because at $200, there's not a ton of value on this slate, and this is the kind of guy in with Bill Belichick that can absolutely crush a slate. So just keep an eye on that. All right, you want to move over to some wide receiver action here?
Let's do it.
All right. So Patriots wide receivers, this is always hard to figure out. But look, this isn't a graveyard here. Like these guys are not great. I would say that Jacoby Myers on like a really good team is probably like a number 3 wide receiver, maybe a number 2, like maybe. He's at 6,800. I think it's a pretty good price for him. He's been priced up quite a bit. He's getting on the field a ton. Now, what I teased earlier about my lock, the guy I'm locking in every fucking lineup, is Damiere Byrd at $800. I don't understand this. Someone was drunk at Draftkings. Someone they wanted to put in 2,800 and they accidentally just hit 800, and it just stuck because Damiere Byrd at $800.
Projections at DraftKings, like they have to have a guy that's over there doing projections and then building that into the pricing, because I don't know what he's showing on Fantasy Cruncher, but on the one I'm using, I mean, he's projected for damn near the same as Jacoby Myers.
He's around 8.
I don't get it.
For me.
What?
He's around 8 fantasy points for me.
Okay, so I got 2 more on mine.
Yeah, that's fucking great. I mean, this is insane. $800. I'm just gonna lock him in because look. Let's just look at what he's got going on here. All right. Now, when you have a guy that's priced at $800 and he's gotten a near 30-point game, there's something going on here. He's got an 11-point game, 13-point game, 13-point game. He's getting targets. In that KC game, he had 10 targets. He's like getting, on average, I would say, just by looking at this, like 6 targets a game and getting like 3 or 4 receptions a game. This guy should be another $2,000 more expensive than he is. He's super underpriced. And I think he's going to go way under owned. Let me look at ownership here real quick on him. Let me just get a ballpark and see where he's at. Stand by.
I do want to talk about Damiere Byrd for a second too. He his asset, one of the best things about him is being able to line up in that slot position and be put in a position to run deeper routes, post routes, right, across splitting safeties up the middle of the field. And when you have Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry healthy, you have 2 physical receivers on the outside. They're going to take up Jalen Ramsey. They're going to take up the physical defensive players on the Rams side of the ball. And we saw on Sunday, I mean, fucking Dan Arnold can sneak up the sideline, up the seam. Damiere Byrd is going to be able to do it even faster. And not to just, keep riding this Cardinals train, but Damiere Byrd was a Cardinal for a while. So
yeah,
for the past couple of seasons, he's been playing them twice per year. So he has a little bit of an experience playing against Sean McVay and in that defense over there in LA. But the difference is now is he has probably the greatest coach of all time. So it is going to make a big difference. And I think he'll be able to be utilized a little bit differently there. And look, let's not even fucking break it down with analysis at this point. And not to undermine what you're going to pull up right now, but I mean, $800, a number 3 wide receiver is not a bad option. We saw it with fucking Miles Boykin last night, and he accidentally became number 2. So look, this is damn near a free square.
100%. I mean, it's insane. Like I said, somebody got fucking drunk and pressed the wrong buttons at DraftKings. Jacoby Myers last week, 89% of the snaps. Damiere Byrd, 84% of the snaps. And then N'Keal Harry with 46. Across the last 3 weeks, he's had 96%, 93%, and 84% of the snaps. He's the number 2 guy. He's getting the same, if not more, routes run than Jacoby Myers. His target share. Last week he was a little under on his target share. He was 14%. N'Keal Harry had 14% as well. But the week before that, he was the leading guy when it came to target share. His targets are up there. And this team does not pass the ball a lot. They just don't. But if they do, he's going to be, in the crosshairs. And I think at $800, just fucking lock him in. And you know what? I'm going to play a couple with him at captain. Because why not? Because I can fit all the most expensive guys in. Not a lot with him at captain, because the chances of him being one of the highest scoring guys on the slate, pretty low. But he has that upside. He has that 29-point upside. We've seen it before. And if he gets even half of that in this game, he's going to be in the optimal. Right? You agree?
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Nothing to talk about.
He's fucking $800.
Yeah,
I played Miles Boykin. Look, dude, I played fucking Miles Boykin in like 40% of my lineups last night.
Yeah,
he's obviously a better play, and I don't want to spend much more time on the wide receivers here because it's as simple as this. I will have one of these guys and by one of these guys, I mean Myers, Harry, or Bird in each of my lineups. I don't think Myers or Harry are bad captain options. I think as possession receivers, they have the ability to get 8, 9, 10 receptions, potentially 80 yards and a touchdown, which can add up, as we saw with fucking Cole Beasley the other night. Damiere Byrd, I mean, look, I'm going to be playing these guys. I just am. You're not paying for much, and even N'Keal Harry at 1,800 seems a little low. I mean, even if Damiere Byrd drops to 55% of the snaps and still gets 6-7 targets, again, those are high quality targets. Dude has the ability to fucking take it 70 yards up the field for a touchdown.
Yeah.
N'Keal Harry has the ability to bring it down and maybe break a couple tackles and pick up 20 yards, but he's not doing that. So, there's some trade-offs. There's obviously opportunity cost when you're looking at all these players. But I think all three of these wide receivers are in play for me. And honestly, I don't think any of them are bad options, especially given their pricing. Now, I understand the Rams defense is really good, but, I mean, I don't know, man. They're priced too well.
Yeah. I mean, look, to me, N'Keal Harry has just been a big disappointment in his career. Arizona State guy. We've seen him play. I thought he had high upside. I wish the Cardinals drafted him in the first round. I think he got drafted like 1 or 2 spots ahead of where the Cardinals were picking in that draft. And it was a little disappointing. But I actually think it worked out pretty well because I just don't think he's going to last long. I hope I'm wrong. I think he's a dynamic player with high upside. I just watching him play. I mean, when he gets tackled, he hits the ground. It looks like his body is shattering. He just doesn't feel, to me, he doesn't feel like an NFL receiver. And I hope he can develop into one later on. I just don't see it right now.
So I feel like Brandon Ayuk is like the grown man version of N'Keal Harry. And I don't mean any disrespect to N'Keal Harry because, again, right, we're Arizona guys. We love our fucking Arizona teams and our Arizona sports. I want N'Keal Harry to go out and crush. Mm-hmm. But Brandon Ayuk, dude, he's going to be a good receiver.
Yeah.
Fucking, I hate Kyle. He knows what he's doing there, and that shit's frustrating. All right, I don't want to take up too much of my time talking about this shit. But, I mean, well, I guess we got tight end, defense, and kicker. There's not much more to talk about, but we're good.
All right, so look. Bottom line is, I think you have to get Damiere Byrd in, and in every lineup. That's what I'm doing. Look, if you lose your fucking money because he gets one catch, don't be pissed at me. It's $800, risk tolerance, whatever you're comfortable doing. But I'm gonna do it. I'll put my money where my mouth is. It's just a no-brainer to me. But I also think that you can fit in one other receiver here because having 2 wide receivers from the Patriots, no one's going to do that. Especially if you pair him with Cam, that's just a natural stack. We're talking about DFS 101 here, and a lot of people just aren't going to do that because they don't pass the ball enough. So with the salary here, I think you can try that.
So while you pull up the wide receivers for the Rams, I do want to comment on something real quick. You made a good point there. Look, our strategy and our picks, this is kind of just us talking through the slate, right? We're not over here saying, oh, dude, fucking Sonny Michel is the captain, and then locking them in for all of our lineups, right? This is our initial thoughts on how we're going to build. We're talking through our strategy here. And what's more important is identifying a strategy and a process. Oh, cool, I look like fucking, what is it?
Predator.
Roblox or some shit. So you're going to get the Minecraft speech now, right? So when we're building, the fucking irony, Minecraft and talking about building lineups, when we're talking about building, right, we're being consistent with our strategy. We don't want to change our strategy from slate to slate because we're opening up the amount of potential outcomes, right? So think about when you're playing blackjack, for example, right? If you have one deck of 52 cards, you can play two ways. You can draw your cards, and then you can put those cards back into the deck, and your odds remain one out of whatever to get that card. Or you can play where you put it to the side, right? And say you get a 3, and you put the 3 to the side. Well, all of a sudden now there's only three threes left in that deck. So you have the ability to kind of optimize your potential outcomes by understanding exactly what the odds are on the next card.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do here, is if we keep changing our strategy from slate to slate, we're going to be putting ourselves in a position to not be able to capitalize when the strategy does pay off. So instead of switching strategies from all these slates, probably last night's slate and anytime Patrick Mahomes plays, those are the two times where, and you've seen it if you watch the show when we talk about it, right, is those are the only two times where we start getting really weird about playing the chalky captain. And that's because it's so obvious that they're probably going to be the highest scoring player on the slate, that if you don't have them there, you don't have the ability to make up some of the other points that you would.
Yeah.
But that's not how it is on almost any other slate. So when we're talking about these random fucking dudes, when we're talking about all this shit, at a certain point, you need to start identifying low-owned guys who have the opportunity to score points. Opportunity doesn't mean that they are actually scoring points.
Yes.
But Gunnar Oshel fucking Lesky, whatever the hell his name is, right? If you had him last week before he was $1,000 and you had the Patriots defense, then you probably did okay, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for, is you want to make sure that you're capitalizing on the opportunity when it's right. So guess right, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to summarize that point. But that's something that we need to think about when we're talking through this. Yeah. Don't just take our picks and say, hey, oh, well, you fucked up with Cooper Kupp last week. Well, yeah, no shit, I probably did. What I'm trying to do is get leverage on the field so that when I do get that one time right, I'm making a shitload of money as opposed to min-cashing every fucking slate.
And that's how most of the big players that you know their names, that's how they play. They lose a shitload of times, but the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever times they win, they fucking, it's, 6 figures. And they don't care.
If any one of our viewers took down just a 10K slate, right? Honestly, think about your ROI on that. If you took down $10,000 on one slate, I can't imagine any of you are playing more than $100, $200 a fucking week, right? If you did that and you spent $5,200 playing $100 over the course of 52 weeks, which that's not even fucking possible in the NFL, and you still took home a 10K, you doubled your money, right? Your ROI is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to you want to finish in the top 1%. You want to finish close enough to where you're making money. And that's how you're going to make money when you're losing money the other weeks.
Exactly. So, look, when I lose, it's okay. I'm going to stay consistent. I know that the process works. It's just, you just need a little luck, and you just need, the right pieces to fall into place. You need the right leverage. All right, let's move over to wide receivers for the Rams. So, this is interesting. You got Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. We all know that these are the best plays on the slate, pretty much. Robert Woods is 9,200. Cooper Kupp is 9,600. Josh Reynolds trending up quite a bit. He's a solid, very, very good number 3, 5,600. And then you got Van Jefferson, who, I thought that was a dealership in Idaho or something. He's at 2,600, and we made the mistake of not even really considering him a few weeks ago when he scored a touchdown, which you can't blame us. I think he was $1,000, and I didn't even know who he was, or at least I hadn't even seen him play. But he scored a touchdown. I think he's actually at 2,600, a decent dart throw. He's got some decent outcomes this season. So look, I guess the question here is, we don't need to get too far deep into this. We've talked about this a lot. The question is, Bobby Trees, Cooper Kupp, which one do you want, and can you have them both in the same lineup? We've seen them both be in the optimal before. Is it worth paying up, and who the hell are you going to fade if you're going to put both of these guys in your lineup?
So I think it's a little bit different this week. I don't think either one of them. So Robert Woods is priced a little bit higher than what we're used to seeing, but Cooper Kupp seems a little low at 9,600. I feel like he's usually above 10K. So I feel like they're a little bit more balanced here. Let me summarize it this way. I'll probably have about 15% of my lineups that'll have both. I'll probably have 30% total with Cooper Kupp, and then closer to 50 to 60% with Robert Woods. I like Cooper Kupp. I don't like him nearly as much as Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods is a better receiver.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say other than that, right? I think Robert Woods is a better receiver. He's a little bit cheaper, and he's probably going to have the better matchup. I understand Cooper Kupp runs in the slot a little bit more, but again, I think he's going to get he's going to be going up against a really good secondary, right? So I think Robert Woods is going to have the ability to bust open, and he's going to get the rushing upside, just like we talked about 86 times a year on the Rams slate. So I think both are in play. I'll have a few lineups with both of them in, probably fading Goff if I'm doing that, so I can capture all the offense, or at least the passing offense. But yeah, obviously they're both in play. Josh Reynolds at 5,600. Honestly, this is a downtrend from his price a couple weeks ago, so I like him a little bit more at this price. My wide receiver player pool for the Rams is probably just going to be those three guys, and I don't have much issue with that. Van Jefferson does have the ability to go out there and score a touchdown and potentially get a couple receptions, but at 2,600, I just don't know if he's going to pay off that price tag. Yeah, he's a little bit too expensive for my taste. I'll have maybe one lineup with him. Again, that'll probably be more similar to a handbill line that I try and put him in specifically. But I don't think I'll have much of him. Again, I'd probably rather just go with Malcolm Brown. You don't need somebody to throw you the ball to receive a handoff, right? That's not earth-shattering analysis. So yeah, I think Malcolm Brown at 2,400 is a little bit more valuable to me than Van Jefferson Jr.
Look, we talk about this all the time. We've had, I think, 3 or 4 Rams showdown slates. Robert Woods is the better receiver. Cooper Kupp, he's good. We're not dissing Cooper Kupp here. I just feel like Robert Woods is the better receiver, and it shows. It shows in the numbers. Robert Woods consistently, pretty much every week, gets more snaps than Kupp. He gets more routes run, and on occasion, he will the target share will be way in favor of Robert Woods. So I'm not saying that Cooper Kupp is a bad play ever. I would never say that. I'm saying, based on the ownership and based on the fact that Cooper Kupp is coming in the 3rd highest owned player on the slate, and I know Robert Woods is right on his ass, so they're very close to the same. But you save $400 with Robert Woods, and I feel like Robert Woods should be at 96, and Cooper Kupp should be at 92. So when you see that, to me, Woods is the guy. Like, big surprise. We like Woods a lot. We always talk about it. But I'm going to get a lot of Woods, and I think I'm just going to be a little bit under on Kupp this week. I usually am, because he kind of has those boomer bust situations where he gets 14 receptions and 104 yards and a touchdown. and then the next week he'll get 3 or 4 targets, and you're like, well, why the fuck, what are you doing? What are you guys doing? Why don't you just throw it to Cooper Kupp every single time? And every time Cooper Kupp has a good game, I feel like the Rams have a win. Now I can look up the stats on that, but I'm pretty sure that like the guy is the key to success for them. So if he comes out and has a great game, I think they're gonna usually win. So just keep an eye on that. I think personally you can get both of them in the same lineup paired with Goff, but it's going to be tough. That's a lot of salary. And I think 3 threes this week are just the way to go. So I'd rather play Goff over Kupp, in my opinion. For I know they're about a $1,400 difference, but like Goff touches the ball every fucking play, and I know for a fact that he's going to throw the ball 30 plus times. I don't know for a fact that Kupp will be targeted that many times, especially against a good defense. Bill Belichick, he watches the same games we watch and says, "Oh, Cooper fucking Kupp had fucking 76 targets. We should probably stop that." So look, I know we're just sort of chatting about this, and I don't really have a definitive answer because no one does. But I'd rather go Woods about double what I have exposure on Kupp, and then sprinkle in some Reynolds and some Jefferson. It's gonna be difficult to figure this out. So any final thoughts on this, Ellie? And before we move over to tight end.
Yeah, I do want to call some crazy shit out that I just saw. So Cooper Kupp against the Rams had 20 targets.
Wait, he's on the Rams.
No, I'm sorry, against Miami. Sorry, guys. Yeah, he had 20 targets for 11 receptions.
That's fucking crazy.
Well, that's crazy for a couple reasons. It's a ridiculous amount of targets. It's a lot of fucking receptions. But 11 out of 20 is a terrible fucking success rate for your completion.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So, look, I'm with you, man. His output just hasn't been there, right? Like he's got to do a lot to pay off for it. This isn't a Danny Amendola. This isn't a fucking Wes Welker. Who's the other white dude from Buffalo?
Cole
Nick
Beasley.
Nolte. Cole Beasley. And I don't know why I said Nick Nolte, guys. I'm sorry, I'm drunk. But
it sounds like a white receiver name.
Yeah, bro, but these guys aren't priced at 4,500. So it's not the same thing when you have a 9,600 guy out there go and get 8 receptions for 80 yards, right? That's only 16 points. So it's just something to keep in mind, dude.
All right, so let's move over to tight end here. So this is a little confusing to me. I just don't understand this. Gerald Everett at 3,400. We've talked about this so many times. Gerald Everett's our guy. Like, I'm super comfortable playing Gerald Everett. And I know that he's priced up a little bit more than he usually is, but still, 3,400 for him is still pretty good. 7 targets last week, 6 receptions, 44 yards. He's only had 1 touchdown this year, but he's going to get you he has the upside to get 7 to 10 receptions. 7 to 10 targets. So, like we say, opportunity, is important in Showdown specifically. And I mean, across the board in DFS, but specifically in Showdown, it's really important because it's all about who actually has a chance because it's such a micro situation. He had 10.4 points last week. He has an upside of 13 points, and at that price, it's borderline. It's borderline to the. He's almost outpriced. He's almost overpriced at a certain point. Because he is technically the second tight end on this team. But I like Gerald Everett more than I do Tyler Higbee at 5,000. We've seen Tyler Higbee absolutely crush. We've seen him score 3 touchdowns this year. It hasn't really gone his way the rest of the season. But he has. We've seen it happen. We know it can happen. So 5,000 for a guy like Tyler Higbee is always an option. I think these are guys you just sprinkle in at 15 to 20%. You obviously don't play him in the same lineup. This isn't a Richard Rodgers, Dallas Goedert situation. You don't really need to do that. I think you'd be wasting a roster position there. But to me, I think you sprinkle these guys in because you just don't know who's going to get it. But it looks like Gerald Everett is actually projecting more points than Tyler Higbee with less ownership. So, I wonder who I should play.
Yeah. Um, I don't have any other feedback than that. That's literally what I was gonna say, man. I like Gerald Everett at that price. I might be a little bit more high on Tyler Higbee than you. But again, if his ownership is over 25%, then that'll quash any idea I had of really getting much exposure to him. Again, at 3,400, Gerald Everett is probably cheaper than the kickers and potentially projected for about the same amount. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. If he gets 3 receptions for 30 yards, that's 6 points at a pretty good price. Again, the only reason I wouldn't be playing a guy like that is just because of Malcolm Brown at 2,400
Yeah,
or Demir Bird at 800. I don't know if I have both those guys in my lineups that I need to play these fucking guys. So,
totally.
um, again, I think my exposure to both, my exposure to a lot of these fucking randos is gonna be very limited, simply because I'm gonna have a shitload of Bird and a decent amount of Brown. So.
All right, let's move over to a shitty tight end position for the Patriots. Look, if Ryan Izzo doesn't play, look, if he does play, maybe I'll have one lineup with him. It's a straight up dart throw. But if he doesn't play, I mean, does Dalton Keene become like a decent option at $200? Like I said, I'm gonna put in Bird in every lineup at $800. That's a very safe play for me. So I don't think I need to have a Demir Bird and a Dalton Keene in the same lineup. I don't think I need that. That would be a fucking interesting lineup for sure. So like for my personal roster construction, I don't think I need to go down to these guys like you said, Ellie. But Dalton King or Dalton Keene would be an interesting option simply because he would be the starting guy. I don't know what he looks like. I haven't seen him fucking play. But he's got one game under his belt, and if he's starting at $200, he's always going to be worth a shot. So, any interest in this? Quickly, I don't think people care about tight ends for the Patriots. Any interest at all?
The only interest that I have is I'm pretty sure this is the third dude named Dalton in the fucking NFL, and the second at tight end with a first name. So I'm pretty sure that in itself is a statistical improbability. But that's the only thing I give a shit about when we're talking about these guys. I don't want either. I don't want Izzo or Keene. Again, I want as much of the running a game. What the fuck is that? The running attack from New England that I can possibly get, and then probably just stack the passing game from there on the Rams side of the ball. I don't give a shit about any of these guys. I don't want 2 targets for fucking 1,400.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so kickers and defense here. You've made it to our favorite segment. Just kidding. Matt Gay, 3,800. Nick Folk, 4,000. Typically, you'll see, 36, 38s or 38s, 42s. 3,800, 4,200. I don't know, man. Like I always say, I just don't know about the kickers, especially in these games. I know the total is a little bit lower, so it's an option. But for me, they're inconsistent. I think Nick Folk is actually okay, but they're hovering right around 20% ownership. And I just don't know how to handle this. I'm not high on these guys. I'd rather just play Demir Bird or, the third string running back Malcolm Brown from the Rams. Why not?
Bro, we saw 2 of the best kickers in the NFL miss field goals last night. Greg Zuerlein missed what, 14? How many fucking
I
field
think
goals
he
did
missed
he miss?
3 or 4 potentially.
Right. Like I'd rather have to rely on Demir Bird at $800 to catch one pass for 25 yards.
Yeah.
It seems more reliable to me, and
Yeah.
that pays off its value. If Nick Folk or Matt Gay fucking miss one kick, you automatically lose 3 points. I know you're not actually getting negative points for a miss like you would in season long, but you're not getting those points, which is pretty fucking significant. Which, by the way, not to get too lost on the tangent here, that shit should count for the defense. Like, missed field goals, maybe not, but stops on fourth down,
Yeah.
that's a fucking takeaway. That shit they should all have another one. Not giving up points within the the red zone, like points. Like if you don't give up a touchdown or a field goal, right, you should get a fucking bonus. Anyways, I digress.
Well, they need to revamp the defensive scoring across all platforms. Yeah. Yearly fantasy, daily fantasy. Figure out another way to handle this. If not, fucking get rid of it. Just get rid of it.
Dude, an NFL team only allowing 3 points or 0 points another NFL team is a fucking big deal. Like
that should be way more higher scoring than a random pick six. That's right. Like dude, that is a better showing of your skills. You should accrue like 20 fantasy points, and you have 0 sacks, 0 interceptions, all that shit for less than 6 points given up. Instead, you get a 6-point outcome, and you got fucking 4 fantasy points or whatever the fuck it is. It's insane. Like a couple weeks ago, the Browns defense, they didn't have a lot of sacks. There's no pick six or none of that. But I think they gave up like 6 points or something, and it was under 10 points, under 10 fantasy points. So how can an NFL defense going against what is now in the NFL offenses? They're given the benefit of the doubt. It's meant for scoring. People want to see scoring, so pass interferences, a lot of scoring happens. The defenses they're fucked from the start. So if they can only allow 6 points, they should get, and if they have a shutout, it should be fucking 40 points. It should be something insane. Like they need to revamp the defenses, like I said, or just get rid of the position, put another fucking flex position, put another fucking quarterback spot. I don't care. Just mix it up at this point because they got rid of the kickers on the main slate, which is great. So start talking about the defense for next year,
Yeah, dude, for real. I mean, come on, man. So the Baltimore Ravens, they had fucking, I think it was 3 shutouts, or it might have been 2 or 3 years ago, or allowed less than 3 points or less in 3 games, and it wasn't enough, dude. They weren't one of the leading defensive teams for the season when it came to fantasy. But yeah, anyways. I digress. We're gonna get caught up in that shit. But no, they need to revisit that scoring. But back to kind of the kickers. I don't really think I'm going to be paying $4K or $3,800 for either of these guys. Again, you got Malcolm Brown and you've got fucking Damiere Byrd.
And their combined salary is $4,200 for both of them. So look. To me, I'm going to put my money down on the fact that I think both of those guys together can outscore a kicker more often than not.
3,200, bro.
Wait, say that again?
3,200. Malcolm Brown's 2,400.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Even better. It proves my point even better.
Like, I get 2 position players for a fucking kicker. Yeah, no, I'm cool.
That's insane. Yeah, go with the 2 position players for sure. All right, so defense, real quick. Fucking, we don't need to talk about this much. $3,800 for. I'm sorry, fucking. I'm still on the kickers here. $4,400 for Rams. $4,200 for Patriots. I think both are in play. Both dynamic. Both can get you pick sixes, turnovers, things like that. Goff and Newton both turn the ball over. They're both inconsistent. I'd say get a handful, go, I'm going to go with the field or above the field. And in fact, I actually like playing the Patriots defense with Sony Michel or James White or one of those guys or just Cam, in general. I think they're going to be so low. They're going to be low owned. There's a chance for, some turnovers there. Yeah. Under 15 seconds. What do you think?
Yeah, I like them both. I think they're both in play. I won't play both of them in the same lineup.
Yep, I totally agree with that. All right, let's get to our fade of the night here.
What's your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony!
All right, I'm going with Cam Akers here. We talked about it before. I just think they're so inconsistent on this side of the ball for the Rams that I think, there's a chance that Cam Akers next week, he doesn't even see 40% of the snaps. There is a legit chance of that, and at that price tag, I'd rather go somewhere else with it. Yes, can this kill me? Can Cam Akers have 2 touchdowns and 100 plus yards? Of course he can. Of course. But what I'm trying to say here is he's overowned, in my opinion. Because of recency bias, he's 30+% in the flex and 5+% in the captain. Now, to me, that at that price tag, he should be lower owned, and if he was lower owned, maybe I'd consider him, but not at this price tag. So Ellie, tell me about your pick. It seems like every single Ram slate, this is your pick, and my pick too most of the time. I just think that Cam Akers for me just stuck out. So tell me about Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, man. At this point, just fucking cut a video from another show. Like I feel like everyone hates me at this point. Look, I don't feel like paying for him. I'm gonna have a decent amount of exposure to him. This isn't 100% paid, but I'm just gonna be under the field. I prefer Robert Woods. He's a little bit cheaper. He's gonna be a little less owned, and he has a little bit more explosive upside. I actually want to know if I've been consistent from show to show, so I might go back and watch all of the Rams thing and see if my fucking tune has changed at all.
I don't think it has. I think we've both been the same. All right, so that's a nice little transition here. Denny Green, tell us what we got.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
So we're both going with Robert Woods this week. Look, I like this guy. Now his captain ownership is a little bit higher than we typically play. It's it's hovering in the top 4. He's around 12 to 15% in the captain, and that's you're gonna have to be a little bit different. But I think if the ownership stays low with some of these other guys that we've talked about, like Damiere Byrd, even a little N'Keal Harry, Gerald Everett, Malcolm Brown. If the ownership stays low on those guys, I think by putting Damiere Byrd and Malcolm Brown in the same lineup, you can play whoever the fuck else you want at captain. So to me, Robert Woods, aka Bobby Trees, I think he's gonna get you 10 receptions, and he has the upside of 2 touchdowns and 150 yards. He just does. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, he's probably not going to be one-on-one versus Stephon Gilmore all night.
Yeah, there you go, and that's a good thing. Okay, so let's build a lineup, dude. Let's do this. I don't think we have to actually. The good news is we have the same captain, so this will go quick. All right, so let's look at this real quick here. So let me fix this. So Robert Woods in the captain. How do we want to handle this? Do you want to do 3-3? We got to do 3-3, right?
Yep, both quarterbacks.
Boom. All right, that was easy. Now, we're looking at some issues here with salary, but we'll solve those immediately with our fucking lock of the day. No problem. So we need 1 from each team here. Do you want to go? What if we did Malcolm Brown? That gives us 11.4K. Now we may not need to, but
Harris.
But throw in Harris, and you leave some on the table, and that with Robert Woods in the captain, we can leave a little bit of money on the table. That makes us different. That's possible. I like this. It's definitely a large field tournament lineup with Brown and Byrd in the same lineup. So let's do this. Let's take out Malcolm Brown and let's figure out how to build a lineup with some more high probability plays here. So, who do you think we?
Gerald Everett.
Yeah, I actually love that. Let's see, where is he at?
Because everyone's gonna go Higbee.
Yeah, so Gerald Everett, and that leaves us with 10.4K. So you can go Cooper Kupp, Woods, Goff. That's a 4-2, obviously, but I think you're capturing a lot of the Patriots offense still by getting Newton and Byrd. But let's try to find, we can go Harris. You can go. I guess that's actually probably our best option there. We don't need to pay down that much. So Newton, Byrd, and Harris, you're capturing all the passing yards from Newton, plus all his rushing upside, plus all the rushing upside of Harris, and then you're capturing a lot of the receiving side of the ball here. I like this lineup. What do you think? Anything you would want to change here?
No, not really. I mean, if you're not as high on Damiere Byrd as we are, swap him out real quick and then throw in N'Keal Harry.
Well, dude, also, Look at this. Malcolm Brown fits right in there. So
Oh yeah,
it fits perfectly.
exactly. Now, I just don't recommend going zero remaining on a showdown. But again, Malcolm Brown's probably going to be under 10% owned. So him and Gerald Everett in the same lineup may make up for the fact
even it
of
out.
zero salary remaining.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So anything else to add here? What do you think this? How do you think this game is going to go down? What are your thoughts on the flow of this game? Do the Patriots have a chance here?
Yeah, I think Patriots win 24-20.
Wow, you're picking them to straight up win. Holy shit.
Yep. Hey, I made a shitload of money on the fucking Washington football team the other night. And by a shitload, I mean I just made some money.
Yeah.
To me, it's all a shitload.
Yeah, exactly. It's all relative. To me, I'm gonna go with, you know what? I like it, dude. I like the Patriots here. I think Cam Newton can come out and pass the ball here. I think 27-20 Patriots. I like it. I think it's a good option here. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you for Sunday Night Football. We appreciate it. See you next time.